Hi, it's Christian. In this tutorial we're going to have a look at how we can use these multi-tracks that we've downloaded from worshipbackingband.com in the session view that Ableton has. Up until now we've been using arrangement view, and we've used it in such a way that we've had to create a set list prior to every meeting that we have. So we've created the first song and we've set the transition and so on. But what if we wanted one master file or one master template with all of our multi-tracks and our loops together? So then all we'd have to do is open up one simple file and we could just map our MIDI controllers. That's the way that I tend to run my Ableton session. I'm going to show you how to do that now. So the first thing we need to do is break down the song that we've got into the relevant parts. So we're going to do that first with 10,000 Reasons, then we're going to open up the new template which I've created, which is available for download from worshipbackingband.com, and show you how to use that. So let's first split this up into parts. So really simple way of doing this, we're going to use this little loop marker here, which is called a loop end or a punch out point, as Ableton call it, and we're going to set this over the first section. So you can see here that it's running for, and if we look up here it says 5 bars. So we're going to run that for 5 bars, and we're simply going to select that so all the tracks are copied, and we're going to go use the Apple command and C for copy. We're then going to go to session view by clicking on the tab, or we can click on the tab button, select the first box up in intro and click paste. And it's going to copy across all the way along, so you can see here we've got intro, lead vocal, BB2, acoustic and so on. While this is selected, and it's selected all of them, we're going to come down here and type in 5 bars, and then we're going to select the next button. And this basically is telling Ableton to play that line for 5 bars, and at the end of the 5th bar, move down. So we're going to go back and do that for the next section. So we're going to highlight chorus 1, drag that to chorus 1. Chorus 1 is 9 bars, shortcut copy. We're going to go hit tab, take it to the next bar, and then we're going to paste that in there as well. That was 9 bars, so we're going to go follow 9 bars and then the down arrow. Now to save this video being really long, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of that, and then I'll pause the video and I'll restart it again once I've done it. Okay, so we've got all of the parts that we need now broken up into individual sections in session view, ready for us to move. All of them have got follow-on action set, so if we trigger off the first section,
4 bars, 3, 4.
See that it plays for 5 bars up here, and then on just before the 6th bar it moves on to the next line. Just to make sure that happens.
Verse 1, bless the Lord, and bless the Lord.
Brilliant. The beauty of that, it means that we can actually trigger off any section now. So we can jump around by clicking on the line over here. And so on. And we're going to use that in our session template. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on intro. We're going to hold down shift and click on shaker. We're not going to take it as far as cues for now. We're going to select all of those parts and we're going to use shortcut copy. Mine is command copy. And then I'm going to go File, Open Recent Template, and I'm going to open up my Worship Backing Band session template, which I've downloaded from the website. Now this opens in session view and it's different to the one that you're used to. So I'm going to talk you through the functionality of the template first, the benefits for it, and then I'm going to show you how to load in a new track and how to build up this template to be your own. So the nice thing about session view for me is that I can arrive in a venue or on a Sunday morning and I can open up one template and I can assign my MIDI controllers to each song, and I've just got one file to work with. I don't have to sit in advance and make up a set list in the way that you do in arrangement view. So for me that's a big benefit, especially if I'm going somewhere and leading multiple services or multiple sets and I'm not deciding until shortly before exactly what songs I want to do and in what order. It also allows me to change the order. So if I decide at the end of one song I want to do a completely different song that's not on the set list, as long as it's mapped to a foot controller somewhere, I can still do that. Which is of a huge benefit for the way that I lead and for the environments that I do. So this is my template. It starts off with columns. So the first column has got a load of ambient pads in. So these ambient pads, if I just trigger off the one in A, you should hear that come through. That's just, it's playing chord swells, so I can play most major progressions over the top of that pad. And this volume control here is mapped to a foot controller on my MIDI controller, so that I can control the volume of that. I can fade that up at the end of songs, fade it up during songs, or just in a time where I just want to fill out that sound a little bit. The next column is loops. I've got two columns here, loops 1 and 2. So these are for single shot loops where I've acquired them and maybe I've mixed everything into one MP3, or just for a simple drum sample, or for anything really that is just playing from start to finish in one loop, in one MP3 or one WAV file. And I would drag them into there or load them into those sections there. I can also use them to add them to loops in the way that I showed in a previous video. The next is MultiTracks, and if we click into here, you'll see that I've replicated what we've seen before. So intro, lead vocal, BBs, acoustic, electric 1 and 2, keys 1 and 2, bass, drums, enhanced, click, shaker and cues. So that's all the way through. Then I've got a column for cue tracks, and in here I tend to have the first one is just the cue track that talks me through the entire arrangement, and the second one is individual director cues. So if I hit chorus on my foot controller, it'll trigger off a chorus command in the band's ear first, and then the rest of the multi-track or loop will follow on the next downbeat, the next one. I'll show you that in just a second. The next thing here is a little bit of automation. So if I'm playing a song or a multi-track, I want the click track very clearly in our ears. This here will control Ableton's click and tell Ableton's click to turn on. However, if I want to trigger off a pad or something that's already got its own inbuilt click, like something that's come down from worshipbackingband.com, I don't want that metronome to play. So this is simple MIDI automation, and it's sending commands using the IAS driver out of Ableton and back into Ableton to turn the metronome on and off. And then we've got a folder called MIDI triggers, and in here is where you would put in your MIDI triggers to send to Pro Presenter, which we've covered in another video, to trigger off videos or keystrokes, or to trigger off chord charts if you wanted your chord chart to change on your computer in front of you, or even in OnSong, which is an iPad app. And this is where I load MIDI triggers. I've also used this to trigger off lights, to trigger off smoke machines, all that kind of thing via MIDI. Okay, so that's the template. It reads from top to bottom, so we're going to create a new loop here, or a new multi-track here, sorry, for 10,000 Reasons. So I'm going to select this line, and I'm going to click Apple R, and I'm going to type in 10,000 Reasons, so I know what this song is. I'm going to type in the tempo, which is 72 beats per minute, and it's in 4/4. Brilliant. Now I've got a line, so when I click this line here now, it's going to play the click, as you can see, in 72 beats per minute. The great thing with Ableton is it actually picks up the tempo from whatever I've typed in here. So if I was to change that and change that to 172 beats per minute, enter, when I press play now, it's playing in 172 beats per minute. So as long as your tempo here is correct, it's great. So let me just go into that one. Sometimes I'll double this up, so rather than 72 I might type in 144 and put it as 8/4, just so that I'm subdividing the click. Okay, let's load in that track that we copied in from the 10,000 Reasons file, and to do that I'm going to start on this intro block. So it's the first intro block on 10,000 Reasons. I'm going to click that and I'm going to click paste, and it's going to load in all of the tracks that we had earlier in exactly that same format. The next thing I'm going to do is I would just run down the side and put in the section so I know what that section is. So this one here, I'm going to click that one and click rename, and I'm going to put next to that intro, this one rename, and I would put chorus because it starts on the chorus, rename verse 1, rename chorus, rename verse 2. I'm not going to do all of them now, but you'll get the idea. Great. And then what I tend to do is I tend to select all of these. Let me click the top one and the bottom one. Select all of these, and then I just tend to select a colour so that they're all in the same colour, so that when I'm flicking down it's very easy to see what's going on. Okay, brilliant. So let's just trigger off that off a minute, make sure it's working. So let's click intro. You can see that it's turned the Ableton click on. We could change that automation so that the Ableton click wasn't on. So I'll just turn that off for the moment. It's going to play 5 bars and move down to the next line.
Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul.
And then at the end of the section it's going to move down again.
His holy name. Sing like
And as explained in a previous video, let me stop that a moment, as explained in a previous video, you can MIDI map up your controllers just by clicking this MIDI button. So click this MIDI button, select that, push your MIDI controller, and it will assign a MIDI note to trigger that off. And then I would assign one for each section, chorus, verse, and so on, so that I can navigate through the song. And then that allows me to jump around. So we might be on the intro, and these aren't going to be smooth transitions, but just to show you, let's go to verse, go to chorus, jump around again. This is one of the advantages of doing it in this session view, is being able to have all of your songs available in one template. But also, the way that you can customize your instrumentation is great. So if I arrive on a Sunday morning and my bass player's sick, I can make sure that my bass will play just by having this yellow light activated. If I don't need the drums that day, I can click that light and all my drums are off. If I decide that I don't want the lead vocals, I can take the lead vocals off, and I can take the acoustic off. And that's going to affect every line. So now, let me jump on a bit. There we go. So there's no drums playing, there's no acoustic playing, there's no lead vocal playing. Let's say I don't want electric, so I can turn the electric off as well. So I'm in full control of my instrumentation, the automation, and the arrangement of my loops and my multi-tracks. Great, the only thing we're missing now though is the cues. So what I'm going to do for that is I use this cue track here. So the first thing I'm going to do is import Andy's cue track from worshipbackingband.com, and you can remember how we do that. We can go into our folder where all our tracks are, so mine is there, and it's the same way that we did it in a previous video. We'll open up our 10,000 Reasons project, we'll go into samples, we'll find our vocal cues stem, and we will drag that into vocal cues, and I put that on the first bar on the cue tracks. Now when I click this,
4 bars,
it's going to move down cleverly.
4.
It's going to play these tracks exactly as set for 5 bars and down, but it's going to play this WAV file from start to finish. So if I don't change the automation or click on any of these buttons, it's going to move down through the arrangement, and Andy's going to guide us all the way through. But let's say I wanted to go off page and I wanted to start arranging it on the fly. Now the problem with doing that is Andy's cue track would be out of sync with what we're doing. So a really simple way is I've got a folder here called vocal cues, and they're just single shot cues which we've recorded. So I can drag these in now. So let's put verse, chorus, that one is against chorus. Let's put verse against verse. Let's put another chorus. You can see I've got bridge, down chorus, instrumental, a few others there. And let's put last time right against the end, for example. Now, let me show this to you. If I click play, it will play this WAV file from start to finish and guide us through the arrangement, and each of these bars will step down exactly as we want it to. But now if I decide I want to go off page and select one of these arrangements, because I've got a stop button here, when I click on any of these, it will stop Andy's cue track playing, and instead I can navigate using these director cues. So what I do with these director cues is I select all of them and I turn off the quantization to none. So that if I clicked on chorus, the first thing that would happen is we would have a chorus in our ear, and then on the next one, the rest of the multi-track would catch up. So let me show you that a minute. Let me trigger off intro.
4 bars, 3, 4.
So you can hear that Andy's main cue track is guiding us through this song. But let's say I'm going to go to this chorus, and the minute I press this button, we'll get a chorus in our ear, followed by the track.
Verse 1, bless the Lord, and...
So his verse 1 has started, or his chorus, and now I'm going to click my button. Here we go. So wait for the 1. I'm going to click my button
Chorus
in our ear, and then on the next one, brilliant. And let's try verse.
Verse.
On the next one, and the automations come straight back in, so when it finishes it will move back. If I put the lead vocal in, you'll hear what I'm doing a little bit clearer. So let's go back and trigger off chorus again.
Chorus.
Now that was a bit quick. Let's go and click verse.
Verse.
On the next one, or last time, for example.
Last time.
Chorus. We could go back to chorus. On the 1. And obviously we wouldn't usually have the lead vocal in, and it's a really nice way of shooting off a quick command into your band's ear and then everybody knowing on the next one is where you move. And as long as you're pressing your foot controller anywhere within that last bar, Ableton's going to be able to pick that up nicely. So that's how I tend to run my multi-tracks. This is how I build up my set file, and then very simply I would come down here and you can just insert another track. So you can go insert scene, or you can go shortcut I, and then what I would do with these is I would rename them so they've got nothing in them, and it might be that one there I'm going to rename my next track You Alone Can Rescue, and in there I would start building in my I put in the time signature, I put in the BPM, and I would start loading in my next track and build up a master file of all my multi-tracks ready to go. So I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's given you a little bit of an insight into another way that you can use these tracks. For you, arrangement view might be perfect, or it might be session view. But the tracks that you can download from worshipbackingband.com are so versatile that once you've got them set up, you can really make them work to really enhance your band and really enhance your worship times and the way that you serve your church. So I hope this has been helpful. Again, get in touch if you need any help, and God bless and take care. Bye-bye.